Retirement is on life support here in America, with the average retiree living on less than $2,000 a month. In this video, we'll look at how to start investing later in life so you're eating steak instead of ramen noodles in retirement. I'll show you an example retirement portfolio to grow your dough, but without taking too much risk. We're talking last-minute retirement planning today on Let's Talk Money. Beat debt, make money, make your money work for you, creating the financial future you deserve. Let's Talk Money. Hey Bowtie Nation, Joseph Hogue with the Let's Talk Money channel. I want to send a special shout out to all of you in the nation. Thank you for spending a part of your day to be here. If you're not part of that community yet, just click that little red subscribe button. It's free and you'll never miss an episode. Nation, there is a retirement crisis in America, so if you're watching this video thinking that you're way behind, well, you are not alone. I took the average retirement savings by state, data from Personal Capital, and then used that 4% withdrawal rule for how much income those savings would produce. I took out state and federal capital gains taxes and finally added in those Social Security benefits. So when we see here that the average Californian can expect about $39,000 a year in retirement, that's based on $28,000 in Social Security for a 2-retiree household. Needless to say, even if you're able to count on those 2 SSI checks a month, it's not enough to live on. In fact, besides that average retirement income by state, you can also see here how much that is as a percentage of the median household income. Now, using our Sunshine State resident again here, that $39,000 annual retirement income is less than 60% of what most households live on right now. Put another way, our average Californian is going to need to cut $4 out of every 10 in their budget just to make ends meet. So ask yourself, could you live on almost half of your current expenses? Of course, again, that's assuming 2 Social Security checks and the average savings. And we know that a whole lot of people just don't have those average savings. More than 4 in 10 baby boomers have less than $10,000 saved as they retire. Now, that's the orange and yellow bars here. More than 3 in 10 in my own Gen X brothers and sisters have nothing saved, and the average for all Gen Xers is under $30,000. Nation, it is a hard life to be retired on no savings. That's where my mom found herself with less than $900 a month in Social Security. It's subsidized housing and none of the bucket lists that you always expected from retirement. Now, we did a millennial investing video last week, and I'll do a video on investing during retirement next week. But if you're between 40 and 54 years old, I want you to come in real close to your phone. Listen to what I'm going to say, because this is going to be like an emergency 911 for your retirement. I'll show you how to start investing late in life, what not to do, and an example portfolio for that last-minute retirement planning. And first, though, do you feel like you're on track to reach your retirement or your investing goals? I want to know, because this isn't something that you hear asked much. Do you feel like you're on track ahead or maybe just falling behind a little, and why? What have you done or not done that's keeping you from being on track? Now, I know this is a lot, but let me know in the comments below, okay, how you feel about your retirement plan, how it's progressing, if you're a little freaked out about it, and what's getting in your way. So I want to start off with how to start saving more money and investing even if you haven't been able to do that yet. Just 5 quick rules to saving that extra $100 a month. Now that's it, really. Just focus on getting that $100 a month into your investing account, because it might not seem like much, but it's really going to add up over time. Just $100 a month, even if you don't get started until age 50, can create a $60,000 portfolio by the time you reach 70. Okay, is 60 grand going to mean the high life in retirement? Maybe Miller high life, but it's going to keep you out of the gutter, and that's what I want to do. Get you to the point where you can still be happy in retirement. So rule number 1 here is you have to prioritize your saving. Take it off the top of your budget. Now tell me if this sounds familiar, okay? You know how much you make each month. You list out all your bills and shocker, there's nothing left over to save. Now if you're like most people, that's not a bad situation to be in, getting everything to come out even, so there's really no motivation to cut things from your budget. You're already making ends meet. But those golden years are creeping up on you, so unless you want them to be more like the copper years, you need to prioritize your saving. Here we're going to do this by taking that $100 off your income immediately. We're going to have that money going directly into your investing account. Then what happens if you were just making ends meet before? You're going to be coming up short $100 on the bill, so you need to find somewhere to cut. It's like a forced savings plan for your investments. Next, I want to make sure you balance your debt payoff and your investing. I understand debt-free is all the rage, and there are a lot of people out there that are going to say don't invest a dime until you've paid off all your debt. You know what I say? Bullshit. I'm not trying to be negative here, but the tragic fact is that some people are addicted to spending. If they got room in their credit card or cash in the bank, they're going to spend it, and they may never be completely debt-free. But you know what we will all be someday, God willing? Old and needing something to live on in retirement. Now, okay, all you debt-free fanatics, tell me in the comments how batshit crazy I am. Okay, I know it makes no sense on the numbers. Okay, investing $50 a month when you could get a guaranteed 12% from paying down your interest. But I'm not being logical here. I'm being human. Okay, our behaviors don't always make sense, and I can't fix your spending problem. What I can do is make sure that you're also building a nest egg while you're working on that debt. So keep paying down your debt, but take that $50, maybe even $100 a month and start investing. Now, third here is little Johnny is going to need to pay his own college bills. Saving for your kids' college tuition is a noble goal, but at this point, you need to be prioritizing your own well-being. I know student loans suck, okay, but your kids having to pay off their loans isn't going to suck as much as you living on government cheese for the rest of your life. Now, one of the most often neglected here is not having enough insurance. You don't need $1 million policy, but having enough health and life insurance is going to save your ass. According to Fidelity, a 65-year-old retired couple can expect to pay around $285,000 in medical costs throughout their retirement. Health insurance gets expensive as you get older, but getting that little blue pill without insurance, even more expensive still. Now, while you're still earning and your family is depending on that income, you also need life insurance. My dad died at 42 and didn't have a dime to his name, but what he did have was enough insurance that the bills didn't pile up after he was gone. Now, the basic rule here is around 5 to 10 times your annual salary in life insurance. And you might not need that much, but you definitely need something while your family is depending on that paycheck. Our fifth rule for saving and investing more before we get to what not to do is looking at the other side of the equation, making more money. This is an investing video, I know, but you can't invest what you don't have, and sometimes you just can't budget and save any more money. That means you're gonna need to look at ways to make a little extra cash. And we're not talking about a part-time job here. We've got a lot of videos on the channel, side hustle ideas that you can work in as little as 5 to 10 hours a week. That's gonna be just enough to get you that few extra $100 a month to invest. So I'll leave a link to those in the video description below. Now, before we get to that example portfolio for our last minute retirement plan, I wanna reveal the biggest mistake investors make at this point. This one will not only keep you from growing your money, but is also going to destroy everything that you've built so far. So you're starting later in life, but you figure all you need to do is make 20 or 30% a year and you'll catch up in no time. So you're looking for these trading strategies, right? The penny stocks, and you remember all the money people made in Bitcoin just a few years ago. You cannot take these big risks with your money. Okay, first of all, if it were so easy to make that 20 or 30% return a year, why isn't everyone doing that? The fact is that anything over a 12% annual return is probably going to have a whole lot of risk that you're going to lose your money instead. And the tragic irony here is that you actually need to be taking less risk if you started investing later in life or you just don't have as much as you need. Now, I know it sounds intuitive to go after those big risks, hoping for the bigger returns, but you're turning your retirement plan into a trip to Vegas. I get it. That 60 grand saved for retirement means you're not visiting Paris, France. What happens though when you lose that money thinking you're going to be the next Wolf of Wall Street? Now you can't even visit Paris, Texas. So avoid the get-rich schemes and the high-risk investing ideas. No penny stocks, Bitcoin, or futures trading, please. But onto our example portfolio for a late retirement planning. And I just want to make a few suggestions on how to invest and what kind of investments to hold. Now, first off, you're probably going to want to rebalance your portfolio for how much you have in stocks, bonds, and real estate. If you're like most investors, you've probably got a dangerously high amount in stocks, like almost everything in your portfolio. Now, that's fine for growth when the market is rising, but what happens when stocks aren't doing so well? At this point, you might not have time to let your portfolio recover from that stock market crash, so you need the protection that you're going to get from bonds and real estate. Now, how much you have in these could be wildly different between those of you in your early 40s and those of you getting closer to retirement. For us younger Gen Xers, we can still probably have closer to 60% of our money in stocks, maybe 15% in bonds, and then maybe a 25% in real estate. In your 50s and approaching your 60s, though, you're going to want to shift that gradually to something like 50% in stocks, maybe 20 or 25% in bonds, and then 25 or 30% in real estate. Just like we talked about earlier with that taking less risk if you're way off from your goals, that's going to affect how much you want in stocks as you get closer to retirement. So if you're sitting on less than 100 grand in savings as you get close to retirement, maybe you want even more in bonds and those real estate funds that's going to give you that cash flow that you're going to need to live on and the safety from a stock market crash. Now, some kind of direct real estate investments like rental properties can be a great investment at this point. The kids are becoming more independent, so maybe you've got a little bit more free time. You're probably making more money and more income, so you can really use that depreciation and other tax shields that you get from real estate. Within that stock portion of your portfolio, focusing on dividend stocks can be a really good strategy at this point, just to start building that cash flow and get a sense for how much that income source can be in retirement. Now, when you're picking dividend stocks, though, remember you still need a balanced portfolio. So don't go picking only REITs or BDCs or shares of utility companies with the highest yields. Look for some good dividend payers in tech and consumer discretionary for that growth as well as those dividends. So here I've used a few ETFs to show what a simple portfolio might look like. Now this one would be for younger Gen Xers in their 40s, and we'll look at another portfolio for the older investors next. So you can see that we've got about 60% in 3 stock funds with a focus on dividends in those first 2, and even growth fund pays a little bit of cash flow. I've got a long-term bond fund and even a little higher return with these high yield bonds, and then my favorite real estate fund, the VNQ, for property exposure. Now if you want to invest in a handful of individual stocks, maybe take 20% of your money out of those stock funds and invest across 10 or maybe 15 stocks at the most. This is going to give you that balanced return from the fund with the safety of those 3 asset classes, and then a chance for that extra return in those individual stocks. The older investors portfolio here is only slightly different, with just 50% in stock funds and then 25% in the 2 bond funds. I've still kept a little in that high yield bond fund for some growth, but we've gotten more safety in that longer term bond fund. How you split this up or using some different funds is up to you. The important point though is having some money in each asset class, stocks, bonds, and real estate, so you get that diversification and the cash flow. Now I know this is probably a little more than disappointing to those of you that wanted that get rich quick strategy, growing that $10,000 into $1 million kind of idea, but I don't want you to lose what you have. There is still time to build that nest egg, but not if you're constantly making an omelet and having to start from scratch. Now that you're ready to invest, click on the video to the right to see where I invest my money. The features, free stock, and bonus cash I get from 5 different investing sites, including pros and cons of each. Don't forget to join the Let's Talk Money community by tapping that subscribe button and clicking the bell notification.